What's good, Buff Nation?
Don't rank us, please. We don't like that.
Even though Prime didn't want to get ranked, the Buffs are ranked going forward. And this past weekend, even with a bye week, the Buffs got some great news down the line that you all should be excited about, because at this point, the Buffs have a really good chance of, for lack of better terms, controlling their destiny and having an opportunity to play in the Big 12 championship. Now, we know that the way Coach Prime thinks is one game at a time. And the game right now on their mind is Lubbock, Texas against Texas Tech. So let's dive into some scenarios and the good news coming down the line here on the Prime Time for College Football. This video is powered by our partners at BetUS. Check them out. They are hooking up the gamer. 150% bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000 by using promo code YouTube150. So the Buffs saw nothing but good news this past weekend in general. Two teams that were in the way for the Buffs to push for the Big 12 championship, both of them failed. Let's look at this. You had L's by Iowa State to Texas Tech, 23-22, with a late touchdown by Tech. So Tech at 6-3 and 4-2 in Big 12 play. Joey McGuire's building something there. They got those boys playing. And then Houston had Kansas State come to town. Beat them boys at the crib, 24-19. They put in work on Kansas State. Kansas State also 4-2 in the Big 12 now, 7-2 overall. But how does this help the Buffs? You may be saying, Jay, what's the good news here? Go ahead and give us the good news. And I'm going to give it to you early. Look at this. The Buffs are now tied for second place in the Big 12. So for the Buffs going forward, the most important thing is you got to win out. So the game on the road against Texas Tech, you got to win that one. You got to win everything going forward after that. You got to beat Utah at the crib. You got to travel to Kansas City and play at Arrowhead Stadium and beat Kansas. And then when Oklahoma State comes to town, and even though they are atrocious, they will probably fight at the end of the season trying to push for maybe a potential playoff. Not playoff, but a bowl game. They're going to be there to fight too. So, but the good thing for the Buffs is when you look at the way everybody's been playing, man, Colorado has a really good chance of now playing in their Big 12 championship. So the teams are in their way. Let's look at those who are in their way and what that means. But first, let's talk about a word from our sponsor over at BetUS. They're hooking up the gamer on the channel. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Using promo code YouTube150. And the opening lines out there, we're seeing some of them are coming down. Colorado is looking like a 3-point favorite on the road. So Vegas does believe that the Buffs have a good chance of winning this game. They think that they are the better team. Because if you translate that over, that's at least 8 to 9 point favorites at home. So the Buffs can do that. They've got to stop a run game, and that's been the best thing the Buffs can do. So if you want to get in on the action on that, or even Heisman Trophy odds, BetUS is hooking you up. 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. 125% on your second and third deposits. Using promo code YouTube150, BetUS, where the game begins. And where the game begins here is that Colorado's going to have to really dig in, like I said, close out the season. And for them, one of the big things to really consider here is that the Buffs will have some common opponents that will give them some benefit down the line. So like right now with Iowa State, the Texas Tech loss can help Colorado if they beat Texas Tech in Lubbock this coming weekend. I don't see Iowa State losing to Kansas. Cincinnati could be a possibility, which would do nothing but help Colorado. But the real big one here is going to be the Kansas State game. The Kansas State game could really muddy things up for the Buffs if Iowa State goes undefeated all the way through and beat Kansas State at the end. That, to me, is what's going to keep Colorado from being able to go, because if they beat Kansas State, which will most likely be higher ranked than Texas Tech at the end of this, there's a chance that Iowa State will end up in the Big 12 championship over Colorado. It's going to be a lot of weird stuff happening throughout the year. So the Buffs is going to need a lot of wins, and they're going to need one Iowa State loss. Now, they also had that same problem with BYU, because BYU beat the brakes off of Kansas State. And so for BYU, their schedule really is favorable in the way that the team that concerns me the most for them is probably going to be Utah next week, this coming weekend, just because it's a rivalry game. But they closed the season with Arizona State and Houston. They got the Kansas game. They beat UCF. So all the common denominators that Colorado and BYU has the upper hand because of the win against Kansas State. So for them, the hope is that Iowa State loses a second game. That's really what you got to bank on. Because as I showed y'all what the standings are. Iowa State 4-1, Colorado 4-1. So that's going to be what's most important in conference to go to the Big 12 championship game. Colorado's going to have to, like I said, close it out and win it. If they can beat Tech and Tech continues to win, and they, like I said, they win out these 4 games, the Buffs got it. So that good news helps going into the bye week, helps you prepare knowing that every week is critical with the way that these teams have been losing. Fun weekend if you were keeping up with all of them. And the rankings is going to help Colorado too. Iowa State should drop probably a few spots because they lost at home to an unranked opponent. Colorado with a bye week should move up from being 23rd in the country, should move up probably in the top 20. We'll see those rankings come out later today. We'll drop a video and talk about that probably later today or tomorrow. But as of right now, the Buffs need to focus on these opponents going forward. So tell me what y'all think. Hop in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Wanted to drop a quick video in the morning after, as we know the Buffs won the bye week. They definitely won the bye week with those 2 losses of Iowa State as well as Kansas State. Does nothing but win. And then we talked about that in the week before that. The most important thing for the Buffs going forward was that they're going to need some losses by the teams ahead of them. They've got the first set of them. Now need a couple more. And if the Buffs can close this out, boom. Big 12 championship game. Let me know what y'all thoughts in the comments below. We'll drop another video later. We'll talk about the rankings. So you make sure you check that up there. Or if you're seeing this afterwards, it'll be there. If not, check out some of the videos or subscribe, hit that bell notification that way you don't miss any videos. And we'll make sure to have our Big 12 experts pull back up and talk about what the Buffs need to do going forward. We'll talk soon.